The Las Vegas Raiders just made 12 official roster moves, and you better believe these moves tell us exactly what this front office thinks about the players competing for roster spots this summer. And while some of these names might not shock you, a few of them definitely raise some eyebrows. That's why I'm here today, to break it all down, piece by piece. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Let's start with who's out. 6 players have been waived or released, and the Raiders didn't waste any time making those decisions after rookie minicamp wrapped up. First name on the list, Dominic Boyd, one of the UDFAs the Raiders just brought in as an offensive tackle prospect. His run with the team didn't last long at all. Honestly, this was expected. Boyd was a camp body, an extra pair of pads. And when you look at the depth chart, there just wasn't a realistic path for him to make the final roster. One of the least surprising moves of the bunch. But then you get to the first big name, Amari Burney. Yeah, that Amari Burney. The 2023 6th-round draft pick out of Florida. A player who was part of the Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler draft class that is quickly being gutted by this new regime. Burney always had athletic upside. There's no denying that. He flashed speed and versatility in college. But the truth is, his transition to the NFL never took off. He never carved out a meaningful role at linebacker. And while there was hope that his athleticism would translate to special teams, even that wasn't enough to keep him on this roster. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Raiders didn't just let Burney go because of underperformance. They let him go because they've already started reshaping that linebacker room. They just signed Jaylon Smith. They spent a draft pick on Cody Lindenberg, and Amari Gainer is showing enough in coverage to make the coaching staff take notice. Gainer offers the kind of range and coverage upside that Burney never seemed to develop. And when you're a 5th-round pick who isn't standing out on defense or special teams, you're replaceable. That's the reality of the NFL. Burney, at best, looked like a budget version of Divine Diablo, an athletic project who might not ever develop into a full-time contributor. This front office clearly didn't see the point in waiting around to find out. Now, I'll give Burney credit. He's had to deal with 3 different regimes in the short time he's been in the league. That's brutal for a young player trying to find stability, but at the end of the day, the Raiders decided to move in a different direction. And Burney wasn't the only notable draft pick shown the door. Matthew Butler, the 2022 5th-rounder out of Tennessee, also got waived. Butler had been bouncing around the Raiders' practice squad and active roster over the past couple of years, but just like Burney, he could never quite break through. There were rumors that the Raiders weren't happy with Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler work ethic. That stuck with me. Farrell Jr. got shipped off to the Chiefs last year, and now Butler joins him on the exit list. Look, this new regime is all about competing every single day. If you're not bringing maximum effort and showing you belong, you're out. That's exactly what happened here. So here's the deal. 2 notable draft picks, both gone. Raider Nation, which one shocks you more? Matthew Butler or Amari Burney? Hit me in the comments with MB for Butler, AB for Burney, or FAB if you're not surprised by either and think this roster is just getting better. Let's keep rolling. Tyreek McAllister, the 4.3 speed wide receiver who had a slim chance of making this roster as a kick or punt returner, is also out. McAllister was a fun little camp story, but when you look at the depth chart, it's obvious why he didn't stick. Tommy Mellott is taking over return duties, Dylan Lobb is also competing there, and Trey Tucker, a 3rd-round pick from last year, could easily be in the mix too. McAllister's speed wasn't enough to set him apart. Brandon Smith, another linebacker who was on the Raiders' practice squad last season, is gone as well. Smith had re-signed earlier this offseason, hoping to stick around. But again, with the Raiders adding Jaylon Smith, Lindenberg, Gainer, and now another linebacker we'll talk about shortly, the competition was simply too deep. And finally, we have Christian Wilkerson, who was released, not waived. That's an important distinction. Wilkerson has 4 years of NFL experience, which means he doesn't have to clear waivers. He's a free agent who can sign with any team right now. If I had to bet, I'd put my money on the New England Patriots picking him up. The McDaniels connection is still strong in Foxborough, and Wilkerson feels like the kind of player they'd bring in to compete for depth. So, that's your 6 players out. But now, let's shift the focus to the 6 players in, starting with the ones you've already heard about. Jaylon Smith, the former Pro Bowl linebacker, is officially back. Smith worked out with the Raiders all weekend during rookie minicamp and earned a contract. You probably remember Smith best from his days with the Cowboys, where he was a team captain and a leader in that locker room. But ever since that devastating knee injury at Notre Dame, he hasn't been the same player. Still, he's 29 years old, and he brings veteran leadership and experience to a linebacker room that desperately needs both. Alongside Smith, the Raiders signed Jonathan Sutherland, a four-time team captain at Penn State. That's an impressive accomplishment. Sutherland played 5 years at Penn State and is known for his leadership and toughness. He's never played an NFL snap, but you can't overlook the fact that he was voted captain 4 years in a row. The Raiders clearly value what he brings to the locker room, but the Raiders didn't stop there. They added 4 more players following rookie minicamp, starting with Jahfari Harvey, a 6'4", 252-pound edge rusher out of SMU. Harvey is an intriguing prospect, and he's got some tools to work with. He's also got a connection to Anthony Booker Jr., another SMU player the Raiders signed as a UDFA, a big-bodied defensive tackle who could help solidify the interior. Harvey and Booker could end up being a sneaky good pairing on that defensive front. Next, the Raiders signed Ketron Jackson Jr., a 6'3", 205-pound wide receiver from Baylor. Jackson didn't put up eye-popping numbers in college, just 12 catches for 236 yards, but he fits the profile the Raiders seem to be targeting this offseason. Long, athletic receivers who can go up and make contested catches. It's a clear trend. They also added Romello Brinson, another 6'1", 191-pound wide receiver from SMU. Brinson had 33 catches for 527 yards and 5 touchdowns last season. Another long receiver who brings some production and versatility to the table. Don't be surprised if one of these big-bodied receivers sticks around through camp. And finally, the Raiders brought in Wesley Steiner, a 6'1", 242-pound linebacker from Washington State. Steiner adds more special teams depth and another body to compete in that linebacker group. He's physical, he's got the size, and he'll get a shot to prove himself in camp. So, here's the bottom line. This front office is not messing around. They're clearing out players who don't fit their vision and bringing in long, athletic, competitive players to fight for roster spots. No more waiting on past draft picks. No more holding on to guys who aren't producing. If you're not helping this team win, you're gone. Simple as that. So, what do you think? Which signing do you think is the best and will add value to the Raiders roster? And which player do you think the Raiders released wrongly? Share your thoughts in the comment section.